Yeah, hi Ford. Yeah. It's Troilus and Cressida, 7 p.m. You're doing Thersites. Okay? Yeah, thanks for getting back. Bye. Well, I mean, this is where we see a lot of actors around here coming in to do their day-to-day stuff, you know, from classes to, you know, membership, you know, paying the dues and so forth. And so you're always surrounded by actors' concerns, and it's a good reminder of just how difficult a life actors lead, you know. Cathedral is where you play. This is, right, between Sarah and you at that point. Nobody else notices it except that he's, you know, the instruments of your piece,
pleasures.
Of their pleasures. Then what's this, Sarah? Before you say, what's the news? He slaps you like this. Then you can come right behind her. She's here and you're behind her.
Right.
Two shot.
Two shot.
Okay?
Oh, trust me, I am glad on it.
Indeed.
My lord.
I am glad to see you mad.
Why, sweet Othello?
Damn
I have not deserved this.
My lord, this would not be.
out of my sight.
I will not stay to offend you.
Julia, baby, I do beseech your lordship, call her back.
Well, somebody asked me, I think it was something I probably ate one morning, you know, one night, and then I woke up in the morning and I had this idea, and I said to my wife, Donna, I said, let's do the entire canon. We were going to do Romeo and Juliet. And I said, well, let's do the entire thing. Why not? And so, you know, she didn't say no, and that was the first big mistake. So we went on, and since then we've done 20 of them, and here we are. It seemed to me perfectly natural to do it, but when you think about it, I don't think too many people have done or undertaken to do the entire canon in this way. So I guess there was immediate buy-in from the community. The actors, of course, love to do it. They're doing it as a labor of love in many cases, and as an antidote to some of the stuff they have to do on television. But there are times, especially in the short time frame in which we work, where you have to take shortcuts. You have to say, look, you have to do things that you wouldn't do if you had a normal 2.5, 3-week rehearsal period. You have to get up and say, look, you have to go from here to here. There's a certain moment here, and demonstrate it in a way that you would not normally do if you were just letting the actor discover it. You know, sometimes you don't have the time. We have so little rehearsal. This is so quick and dirty, and we call it Savage God boot camp, you know, Shakespeare boot camp. And we laugh about it. You know, we say, well, when you come to rehearsals here, there's 3 things that you should know about the Shakespeare project. There's no direction, no money, and very little rehearsal. All right, let's try it.
And having a sense of power is something I've been working on recently. I said to my wife today, she said, I don't know why you're putting so much pressure on yourself. I said, this is important to me. It's an important thing to me as far as working with this man, John Juliani. I mean, I don't know how many years he's been doing this project. But this is, aside from Bard on the Beach, this is one of the foundations of Shakespeare in town. Well, you know, one of the things that people told me to help me get over the fear of doing Shakespeare was that, well, Tom, you're a singer, and Shakespeare is very musical, it's very rhythmic. And so this line, and you have to remember that Othello is a storyteller as well, right? So he has this introduction of this story of how he won Desdemona's love, And the Duke says, "Tell it, Othello." And he says, "Her father loved me, oft invited me." And that just, you know, it just has that da 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 da, you know, it's that iambic pentameter, right? And that kicks in, you know. But it's just a wonderful and oddly rather natural way of telling a story.
I will chop her into messes. Cuckold me?
Oh, 'tis foul in her.
With mine officer?
That's fouler.
Get me some poison, Iago, this night. I'll not expostulate with her, lest her body and beauty unprovide my mind again. This night, Iago.
Do it not with poison. Strangle her in her bed, even the bed she hath contaminated.
Good, good. The justice of it pleases. Very good.
And for Cassio, let me be his undertaker. You shall hear more by midnight.
Excellent good. Trumpet. What trumpet is the same?
I warrant something from Venice. 'Tis Lodovico, this comes from the Duke. See, your wife's with him.
It's a kind of a mix between stage, television, and radio.
Sweet Bianca, take me this work out.
Oh, Cassio, whence came this?
Because we use microphones, because this church will not it'll accommodate the singing voice, but it won't accommodate speaking voice. And so you need to have some amplification. So we have 3 mics, and the actors work on those mics the way they would in a radio studio.
Come to this? Well.
Go to, woman, throw your vile guesses in the devil's teeth from whence you have them. You are jealous now.
So there are certain unnatural, artificial things that happen when you work in radio that you cannot do when you're working on stage.
Not that I love you or not.
But that you do not love me. I pray you, bring me on the way a little, and say if I shall see you soon at night.
The normal procedure for an actor is to look at his or her partner when you're doing a love scene. While in radio, you might have to do that in such a way that you're not even looking at each other, but you're talking, straight out, as it were. And because otherwise, speaking this way, you're not totally on microphone.
'Tis very good. I must be circumstanced.
Right? If you were doing it in radio, you wouldn't know your lines, would you? Right? You'd be reading the damn thing, right? It's like a cold audition, right? So, but the listener in Radioland either gets Cassio and is believable, or he says that's bad, right? So you have the same problem with truth, and you want to look up. It's perfectly natural. It's totally artificial. But when it's working and you get it, it does work, right? I mean, does that make any sense?
No, I get a bit of it.
Then there's another part when I'm up there on the pulpit, and I'm eavesdropping on a conversation that Iago has set up for me to believe one way, but really another story is being told. But I can only see, I can't hear. My comments on that conversation are really to myself, but it lets the audience eavesdrop on the thoughts that Othello is having.
So unwholesome.
They laugh.
And on the other hand, sometimes you have to belt it out. You must never rely on the microphone. And other times that microphone can be just like an extreme close-up. Okay.
Places like plays in swimming pools or warehouses or whatever kind of thing. But in a church, it seems so sort of consecrated a place. You wouldn't want to be too wild or too flamboyant. Maybe that's just my Catholic upbringing or something. Like there are places to be quiet in and to be pensive in and stuff. So getting the opportunity to sort of work in a place like this is amazing because they're beautiful. This cathedral is beautiful. They're always sort of a little bit breathtaking, a little bit awe-inspiring when you walk into a place with this sort of history and the stature and the size and the height of the ceilings, the stained glass, and it's very, for Shakespeare, it just seems so natural, sort of so right to be working in a place of this stature, it seems so historic.
Did you marry a perfumed one? What do you mean by this haunting of me?
Let the devil and his dam haunt you. What did you mean by that same handkerchief you gave me even now? I was a fine fool to take it. I must take out the work? A likely piece of work that you should find it in your chamber and not know who left it there. This is some minx's token, and I must take out the work. There, give it your holly horse wheresoever you had it.
And it's a wonderful place to be in. I mean, it's a splendid setting, and it makes it kind of easy to sort of equate Shakespeare with the whole sacred nature of theater and so forth. Although there are some people who think that, you know, theater doesn't belong in a church. But of course, in some contexts, I guess theater began in a church, one way or the other. Shakespeare has a certain, I guess, metaphysical dimension in terms of his own stature anyway, and you know, we're in a church, and the church has its own spiritual, it's a spiritual space, so the two things work very well together, and we're not doing second-rate writers, you know, this is one of the gods, and you know, the churches are what gods are all about, or God is all about.
He isn't yet arrived, nor in my heart that he's well.
I just let the word be known in the community that we were doing this, and that any actor who wanted to tackle any role would just let me know and put their request in. And I've tried to stick to that. So if somebody asked me to play Richard III, the first person who asked me was on the list, and then when the time came to do Richard III, I would go to that person. If the actor wasn't available, then I would go to, you know, other choices. And I tried to sort of mix it so we had veteran performers with beginners. But I guess the thing you need to begin with, I mean, we're doing this because it's the spoken word, and we want people who can handle the language. Now, some people have been doing it all their lives. They're very proficient, and we're very lucky in this community. We have many actors who are very proficient with speaking Shakespeare. But there are also beginner actors, less experienced, with a love of the language. So I think the first requirement is that you love to do it, you love Shakespeare, you have some kind of passion for it, you're aware of the challenges of it, and you're willing to put out and work. And then I usually try and mix it. So it's a consummate learning experience for the young actors. I do it every night. I mean, that particular speech, in a way, is a symbol of the project. It's really about the imagination, and using one's imagination, and asking the audience, really, as Shakespeare does, to imagine the world that he is taking us into. In this case, Henry V, he's taking us into a battlefield, and he's saying, our poor resources here, this wooden O, in the context of this church, piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man and make imaginary puissance.
Think, when we speak of mercies, that you see them, printing their proud hoofs to the receiving earth. For it is your thoughts that now must deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping your times, turning the accomplishments of many years into an hourglass. For the which supply, admit me, chorus, to this tragedy, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
I take it much unkindly that thou, Iago, who hast made my purse as if his springs were mine, shouldst know of this. But do not hear me.
Yes, it was a fear of being able to handle that text, was a desire to move forward. And since junior high school, and I'm an old guy, I've loved Shakespeare, and I had an affinity for figuring out what was going on. But for a kid in Berkeley, you know, what do I do with that? So here I arrive and I've been doing more dramatic theater, so I kind of was getting, comfortable with the use of text. And I said, well, maybe it's time to take another look at this Shakespeare guy. I mean, I want to do it, so why don't I just prepare myself to do it?
For Christian shame, put by the barbarous wrong. He that serves next, carved for his own rage, holds his soul.
All these stories keep coming around, This one's particularly, this is about a guy who's desperately in love with this woman, but then he has a really good friend which he trusts, who starts to unravel his devotion to her and his trust in her, and what happens to a man of great power and stature, and really a good-hearted guy. He's a soldier, but he's really just dedicated to Desdemona. He's so gentle when he's with her. And then this termite gets in there and starts to eat away at the foundation of his relationship and what can happen.
Burning lights above, you elements that clip us round about, witness that here Iago doth give up the execution of his wit, hands, heart to wrong. You, my most fair Bianca, indeed, sweet love, I was coming to your house.
And I was going to your lodging, Cassio.
But in university, I learned more about how expressive the actual words are, how it's not just the storylines, and I mean they're the whole point, they're the amazing sort of part, but the language itself sort of stands on its own. It's beautiful, it's colorful, it has cadences and rhythms.
I think have no work on.
Oh no, sweet Bianca. Oh no. Oh no.
He's a great, great guy and a great man. He has to keep so much in his head to orchestrate an entire show like this in 2 weeks flat. Somebody mentioned to me once that they thought it was like directing a symphony.
Man named Robbie King tell me once that, Tom, accept your greatness. He made me write it down on my blackboard, right? Accept your greatness. And we all should, because God doesn't make junk.
My dream somehow, although I haven't really shared this with many people, just it's an extension of the wild dream, is that after we finished all 40 events, because we're doing the 37 plays and then all the poetry as well and programs, that maybe then we'll just take a month and do a show or 2 shows a day and just take over the entire city and do the entire canon in a month. Now that's pretty stupid, isn't it? There you go.
Not me. I'm definitely not this.
So maybe what I'm going to do, because there's a meeting in here, is I'm going to move this to the kitchen and through the evening as you wish. If you want to have some now, have it now, but if you want it later, have it later.
When's the meeting?
In here. It's,
when?
7:30. So you've got some.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody.
We have to have a meeting. Thank you. Well, I'm glad I'm part of the cast who was here for the birthday.
There's another part. We don't want to watch
You want to be your chair?
How are you? I'm good. Great.
So gentle. I watched that. It's true. Okay, first cut's made. I was teaching.
We can't take this upstairs, so it has to be eaten downstairs.
Enjoy yourself.